this video, leave a comment, and please subscribe Emora Voice YouTube channel. This story is for mature listeners only. It is not meant to entertain, but to reflect a difficult reality. Sarah had grown up in her uncle's house after losing her parents at a very young age. For her, that house was not just a shelter. It was the only world she knew. Among everyone there, the person she feared the most was Inspector Cameron. Cameron was strict by nature. He was disciplined, authoritative, and deeply respected in the family. He treated all younger relatives like his own siblings and never showed softness in matters of rules or studies. Sarah, being the quiet and sensitive one, always stayed out of his way. She never imagined that one day her life would change because of him. A proposal meant for someone else suddenly broke. Family discussions happened behind closed doors. Decisions were made without asking her. And overnight, Sarah was told she would be married. The name she heard left her numb. Cameron, the same man she had always addressed with respect and distance, was now her husband. She did not cry. She did not protest. She simply went silent. On the night of the wedding, Sarah sat alone in the room, dressed as a bride. Her hands trembled, not with excitement, but with fear of the unknown. Her heart felt empty, as if it had already accepted defeat. When Cameron entered the room, the air grew heavy. Neither of them knew how to speak. Both were trapped in a decision they never planned. For Sarah, this marriage did not feel like a beginning. It felt like an accident, one she did not know how to survive. And this was only the start. Sarah's first night in her new life passed in silence. She sat at the far edge of the room, her eyes fixed on the floor, trying to control the fear inside her chest. Cameron stayed distant, not harsh, not kind, just cold and unreadable. For Sarah, this distance was not relief. It was uncertainty. She did not know what to expect from him, and that fear weighed heavier than words. Cameron, on the other hand, was fighting a battle of his own. He had never planned this marriage. He had accepted it out of pressure, responsibility, and circumstances he could not escape. To him, Sarah was not a partner. She was a reminder of a life he never chose. Morning came quietly. In front of the family, everything looked normal. Cameron spoke politely. Sarah followed instructions like a shadow. No one noticed the tension, hiding behind their calm expressions. Inside, Sarah felt like a stranger in her own home. She tried to help in the kitchen, to act normal, to prove she belonged there. Her aunt gently stopped her and told her to rest. It was her first day as a bride, but rest was impossible. Cameron left early for work, reminding her in a firm but controlled voice to behave normally in front of everyone. Sarah nodded without looking up. She had already learned that silence was safer than questions. Left alone, she stood in front of the mirror and looked at herself. She did not recognize the girl staring back. She was a wife now, yet she felt more alone than ever before, and somewhere deep inside, she realized this marriage was not built on choice or love, but on obligation. A realization that slowly began to change her. As days passed, Sarah began to notice things she had not understood before. Cameron was rarely home. When he was, his mind seemed elsewhere. He spoke less, avoided eye contact, and often stayed lost in his thoughts. At first, Sarah blamed herself. She believed her presence made him uncomfortable. She tried harder to stay invisible, speaking only when spoken to, never asking questions. But the truth slowly revealed itself. One afternoon, Sarah overheard a quiet conversation between two family members. A name was mentioned, Maya. It was said carefully, almost like a secret. A name from Cameron's past. Later that evening, when Cameron returned home, his phone kept lighting up with messages. Sarah did not look at the screen, but she noticed how his expression changed each time. His voice softened when he stepped aside to answer a call. That softness was never meant for her. Sarah understood then. Cameron's heart was already occupied long before this marriage. There was someone else, someone he had chosen, someone he loved. This marriage had not replaced that love. It had only complicated it. For the first time, Sarah felt something deeper than fear. She felt unwanted. That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment since the wedding. She realized she had not entered a marriage. She had entered a life where she was never meant to belong. Yet she made a silent decision. If she had been brought into this situation without choice, she would at least face it with dignity. She would not beg for affection. She would not compete for attention. She would observe. She would endure, and she would wait, because every hidden truth eventually comes to light. After learning the truth, Sarah changed quietly. She stopped expecting warmth. She stopped waiting for kindness. Instead, she focused on control over her emotions, her reactions, her dignity. In front of the family, she remained calm and respectful. No complaints, no questions, no tears. Everyone thought she was adjusting well. Only Sarah knew how heavy silence could feel. Cameron noticed the change too. She no longer flinched at his presence. She no longer looked afraid. Her voice was steady, her eyes distant. That distance unsettled him. He had expected resistance or weakness, but Sarah offered neither. One evening, he asked her casually if she was comfortable in the house. Sarah answered politely with a "Yes, I have everything I need." That answer stayed with him because it wasn't gratitude, it was acceptance. Sarah spent her days helping quietly, reading, and keeping herself busy. At night, she prayed for strength rather than change. She understood something important now. She could not control what others felt for her, but she could control how much power they had over her. And that realization gave her courage. She was still afraid, but no longer helpless. This marriage had been forced on her, but the way she lived inside it was her choice. And somewhere deep inside, Sarah promised herself one thing. No matter how this story ended, she would not lose herself trying to belong where she was never chosen. The past never stays buried for long. One afternoon, Cameron received a call that changed his mood instantly. He stepped outside to talk, lowering his voice, turning his back to the house. Sarah watched from a distance. She did not need to hear the words. She recognized the change in him, the softness in his tone, the restlessness in his steps. That evening, Cameron left the house again, claiming work. But work was not where he went. The woman from his past, Maya, had returned. She was angry, hurt, and unwilling to accept silence. She questioned his choices, his promises, and the sudden marriage he had entered. Cameron tried to explain. He spoke of pressure, of family decisions, of circumstances beyond his control, but explanations could not heal betrayal. Maya made one thing clear: she would not quietly disappear. Meanwhile, Sarah felt the shift at home. Whispers grew. Tension thickened. For the first time, she understood that this marriage was no longer just her burden. It was becoming a storm that would soon affect everyone. She stood at a crossroads, remain silent as always, or prepare herself for what was coming, because when past and present collide, someone always gets hurt. The tension that had been building quietly finally surfaced. Cameron returned home late that night, his expression unreadable. Sarah noticed it immediately. The silence was heavier than before. Something had changed. The next morning, the house felt different. Conversations stopped when Sarah entered a room. Eyes avoided hers. Whispers followed her steps. She understood then. The past had found its way into the present. That evening, Cameron finally spoke. He did not raise his voice. He did not explain in detail. He simply said that someone from his past had returned, and things were becoming complicated. Sarah listened without interruption. For the first time, she did not feel afraid. Instead, she felt clarity. She told Cameron calmly that she had already sensed it, that she knew he had never chosen this marriage, and that pretending was only making things worse. Her honesty unsettled him. He had expected anger, accusations, tears, but Sarah offered none. She asked only one question: "Where do I stand in your life?" Cameron had no answer. That silence said everything. Later that night, Sarah sat alone, reflecting. She realized she had reached a point where silence was no longer protection, it was surrender. If she continued to say nothing, others would decide her future again. And for the first time since the wedding, Sarah made a choice for herself. Whatever came next, she would face it with her voice intact. Because truth, once spoken, cannot be undone. That night, sleep refused to come. Sarah sat by the window, watching the quiet street below. For days, she had carried everyone's expectations on her silence. Now, that silence felt heavier than ever. Cameron was struggling too. He stood at a crossroads, torn between responsibility and emotion, between the past he loved and the present he could not escape. The next day, a family meeting was called. Voices remained controlled, but tension filled the room. Questions were asked. Uncomfortable truths hovered in the air. Sarah listened carefully. For the first time, she realized something important. Everyone was speaking about her, but no one was speaking to her. When she finally spoke, the room went quiet. She did not accuse. She did not beg. She simply stated the truth. She said she had entered this marriage without choice, and she had stayed silent out of respect, not weakness. But respect, she explained, could not exist without honesty. She told them she did not want pity, nor did she want to stand in the way of someone else's life. All she asked for was clarity, a decision made openly, not behind closed doors. Her calm strength surprised everyone. Cameron realized then that silence had never meant consent. It had meant endurance. That moment forced him to confront himself. Whatever decision he made next would define not just his future, but hers as well. And this time, the choice could no longer be avoided. The house felt unusually quiet after the meeting. Everyone returned to their rooms, but nothing felt settled. Words had been spoken, yet decisions still hung in the air. For Sarah, something had changed. She no longer felt invisible. That evening, she asked Cameron for a private conversation. Her voice was calm, but firm. She told him she did not want to live a life built on confusion and half-truths. She said she deserved clarity, not as a wife asking for love, but as a human asking for honesty. Cameron listened without interrupting. For the first time, he did not defend himself. He did not explain circumstances or pressure. He simply listened. Sarah spoke about her fear, her patience, and her silence. She admitted that staying quiet had cost her peace, and she said she could no longer carry a burden that was never hers to begin with. Her words forced Cameron to face a truth he had avoided. His silence had hurt her more than anger ever could. That night, Cameron made a call, not to explain, not to argue, but to end what had remained unresolved. When he returned, he looked different, tired, but clearer. He told Sarah that things would change, not immediately, not easily, but honestly. For the first time since the wedding, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt before. Not happiness, but relief. Because silence had finally been broken, and with it, the power it once held over her. Cameron's decision did not bring instant peace. Instead, it created waves inside the house and beyond it. Family members were divided. Some believed responsibility should always come before emotion. Others questioned why honesty had come so late. Cameron faced criticism he had never expected. For the first time, his authority felt fragile. Sarah, however, felt something different. She was still unsure of the future, but the weight she had been carrying alone was finally shared. Whispers continued, but they no longer controlled her. People spoke, and she let them. She had learned that silence only protects others, never the one who stays quiet. Cameron tried to change slowly, not with words, but with actions. Respect replaced control. Distance replaced confusion. One evening, he told Sarah something honestly for the first time, that he did not know what the right ending was, but he knew continuing a lie was wrong. Sarah listened. She did not celebrate. She did not forgive everything. She simply acknowledged the truth. Because consequences are not meant to punish, they are meant to teach. And both of them were learning. The final decision was near now. Whatever it would be, it would change their lives forever. Not every story ends the way it begins. After everything that was said and done, Cameron finally made a decision, not out of pressure, not out of fear, but out of responsibility. He accepted that a marriage built on silence and obligation could never become a home. In front of the family, he spoke honestly. He admitted his mistakes. He acknowledged Sarah's patience, her strength, and the injustice she had endured. For the first time, Sarah was not spoken about. She was spoken to. She was given a choice. And this time, the choice was real. Sarah chose dignity. She chose to walk away from a life where she was never truly chosen, but she walked away without bitterness, no accusations, no revenge, only self-respect. Cameron learned that authority cannot replace empathy, and responsibility cannot excuse emotional neglect. Their paths separated quietly, not as enemies, but as two people who had learned a difficult lesson. Sarah stepped into a new chapter of her life, not defined by marriage, not by sacrifice, but by strength. Some stories are not about love winning. Some stories are about finding yourself after losing everything else. And this was one of them.